Hi there. So in today's video, we will be watching the behind the scenes of this elegant bridal robe. It took me 7 days and 724 handmade pearl towels and 216 handmade flowers to achieve this. So let's get right into it. So these were the materials I used. This is an organdy. Okay, so there are types of organza. We have organdy, we have organza. Organza is actually made out of silk, while organdy is made out of cotton. So the machine that I used for the cotton was the hot melt fabric edging scissors, and it completely helps with fraying. Like, it does melt the edges so it doesn't fray. Organza and organdy are fabrics that really do fray. Kind of have similarities like kente, just that like they are all woven fabrics, just that with this sometimes it can be a more overwhelming than kente. So that was why I used this hot melt fabric edging scissors for the cutting, and it really did save me a lot of time and a lot of stress because of how the petals and flowers were created. If you decide to use your normal scissors, you're really not gonna get this effect. So I would advise you go in for the hot melt fabric edging scissors. And the measurements I use were different types of sizes. I use a circular one that was like 6 inches for its maximum circumference. Some were 3 inches, some were 4 inches, depending on the cut, and no fabric, I mean not a slighted fabric went out to be thrown out. Everything was used. Not a single fabric or organdy organza was thrown out. Everything was utilized. Okay, so this was what I used. So there's smoke coming out of the fabric because yes, it's burning. This scissors is really hot. You try your best not to have any kind of contact with the raw surface. You're gonna get burned. Even the handle, it got to a time it was hurting my hand, so I had to kind of pause it for it to cool down a little bit before picking it up and then actually working around it. So it's a very dangerous scissors. You can't play with the scissors. Don't tell me I never told you. Yes, so here in this section I was cutting out the edges. I was going to be a little bit sticked out in it. So yes, sometimes when you try opening them, when you use the scissors, like it melts them. So when they are in a couple of layers, it would actually melt them together. So you'd have to use the scissors to actually cut it, to kind of disintegrate it before you actually, separate it singularly in order for you to achieve what you would want to achieve. So yes, this is what was done, and I would say that there were different shades and colors that I wanted to go in with the burgundy, wine, orange, like those shadow shades. Those were the shades that I was going in for. So I used different colors in order to achieve the effect that I wanted to get. And here in this section, I'm actually disintegrating it, like I'm just separating it inch by inch. It kind of looks like a pancake stuck together, but pancakes can be separated easily than this fabric. Yes, so here this is how it looks, like this circular section like that, right? So you get these sheets out, kind of look like shawarma sheets. Okay, so you use your scissors to cut them depending on the sizes that you would love to use. With this section you can just use this one, but here I wanted it to be a little bit bulkier, and I just wanted to mix it with other colors so that I could get like different shades in it. That is the reason why you see me cutting it into two. And I think this was the biggest size I ever used. That was a 6 inches, right? Yeah, so the circumference like that was what I used. And here in this section too, I actually, in this project, not a piece of fabric was missed out. Every fabric was used. So here was 3 inches. As you can see me cutting, it kind of gives the effect of like cutting the flare or dealing with a flare kind of with you. If you could see how it was being folded and then being marked out, is actually giving like kind of like cutting a flower kind of effect. So here I just tried my best to utilize each piece of the fabric, so you can see me cutting it in different sizes and different shapes. So the angles, like those four corners, had the circular one, but that effect that it came in the middle was also used. I didn't throw it away, I actually added it to it. So it could be that the number of petals that I really calculated, those ones were not included. It could be more than that, right? And yes, that is what was achieved. And here you have to be careful when cutting it up. And yes, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe. And yes, thank you guys so very much for staying with this channel. And if this is your first time seeing this channel, my name is Irene, a fashion designer here in Ghana, Africa. And yes, this is not easy. So this is what I achieved at the other section. You see the shape that was in between the circles? That was what I got. So I used the scissors to kind of melt the ends so that it wouldn't really fray. So this is it. It's very, very kind of I wouldn't say time consuming, because it was the first time of me using this type of scissors, but I would say it was very trickish, because you just don't want to hurt yourself. I kind of hurt myself using the scissors, but you try your best to limit the hurts you're going to get. I didn't really know how the scissors was being used, and it was very, 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 very difficult using the scissors, but it actually saved me a lot of stress, because I didn't want my project fraying, and it kind of achieved that. It really did achieve it. Not kind of, it just gave that effect that it had to give. So here, after it melts down, it gets attached to scissors, so you'd have to actually pick another scissors or any other metallic thing you have to kind of clear it up, from the tip of the scissors, so that you start other projects or other colors. But this is actually the organza. This is organza fabric. You see how light it looks? Yes, this is how the organza fabric is. Very light than the organdy. The organza is actually made out of silk, and the organdy is made out of cotton. So definitely the organdy is going to be more heavier than the organza. So this was how it was done. Different shades, different colors combined together. So this section too, I was working on the red organza, and here I was cutting the base of it. I cut it in like flares. It was flare. It was half flare. So half flare is like 180 degrees. Yeah, so that was the cut that I used. So 180 degrees. And this was the length that I wanted my flare to be in, like the dress, the down section. The upper section was like an off-shoulder, like it was an off-shoulder bustier. So this was the down section, and it was flare, and I just wanted it to be flowing, like really flowing. I could have just used like this normal 360 flare cutting to achieve it, but I just wanted it to have a more flow at the back. So I actually used the 180 flare cutting, half flare, to achieve the flow that I needed. And here I use my normal scissors, because there's going to be folds and sewing and things like that, so there was no need for me to use the hot melt fabric edging scissors to achieve that. So I used my normal scissors that I had to do those cutting that I had to cut. And yes, this is what you see me doing. Some of them were not really giving me the tails that I needed, so I had to kind of add more of the tail to it. And here was those was the time that I was creating the petals, right? This was it. This was the time the petals were being created. Already most of the petals were actually hand guarded, not machine guarded. And here was the time that I had to apply the petals on the base of the skirt. Yes, this is what I was saying. I wanted to have different shades, different textures in the dress. So this is what you see. We have the red ones, we have the Gandhi wine, we have the organza wine, giving up these pops and stuff like that. So this is what you see me doing here. After these were really pinned down, it was hand sewn at some vintage points before I applied glue sticks or glue gun to really kind of emblems it on the organza. So here in this section, I was pinning them down so that it would be hand sewn. And this was how it was looking. After it was hand sewn, I came back to apply the glue at some specific vintage points that the student, my girls, missed out on sewing. So I actually applied the glue at those sections, and it was quite tedious. I did everything that was sewn with my gown. My bridesmaids' dresses, the groomsmen, the groom's outfit, everything was done with us. So it was quite overwhelming when it got to some time. So this is it. So here I was attaching my inner skirt. It was a fitted skirt. I was attaching it to the down section, the flare that had petals on it. So this is how it looks. And here I was installing the zipper, and this was how it was looking after I attached the top with it. So here in this section, I was adding the petals to the top section,